Hello, everybody. It is Lauren from SCB, and I'm joined today by the 002 headliner, BadBoy Beaman. How are we feeling?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel good. It's been a little bit of it's hit reality now that I've got to keep training after watching the fight back, to be honest, because I realised I was still a little bit overweight. But other than that, it's been really good, yeah.
So you've had a lot of time to kind of digest the fight now. How do you really and truly feel like it went now you've had time to proper reflect on it?
Honestly, I went into that fight not feeling too well. I come down with like the flu or something on the Tuesday before, so I was dealing with all that, the mental battle of it. So I know that it wasn't my best performance, but looking back, there were a couple of mistakes I was making throughout the fight, and me and my coaches have sat down and had a little chat about it, and we're working on those things now for any future possible fights that could come up.
So although you were fighting maybe a younger, maybe less experienced fighter in JST, did he teach you anything in the ring that you maybe weren't expecting in hindsight?
I wouldn't say he taught me anything as such. What I will say though is that he was a great opponent, and the fact that he doesn't have as much experience as me, I was shocked by how well he boxed throughout against the bigger opponents, against the more experienced opponents. He put on a very good show and showed that he's got like the real fundamentals there to progress further in this scene.
Okay, what did you kind of think as the event as a whole? You know, coming in as the biggest creator on the card, what were you expecting? Were you expecting better or worse? Or
Honestly, I feel like obviously, I mean, SCB1 was a really bad show. I'd spoken with Rich, who'd pretty much come in after that show and said, "We want to make things bigger and better. Are you on board?" They asked me a couple of times, and I was like, "Do you know what? Right, I'll do it. I want to help these guys out. It's good to be, a sort of front man for the smaller creators, and I'm always happy to help people up." So I said, yeah, I'll get involved, and I think the show went really well. There was a couple of technical difficulties with the audio, and especially with the press conference, there was an issue going live. But other than the small little issues like that, overall, for the second show, it was fantastic, and I think there's a big future for SCB for sure.
no, I'm sure the boys will really appreciate that response. There's a lot of hard work that goes in behind it, and I pretty much only saw half of that. So I think they'll really appreciate that. So do you feel that SCB has kind of set you on a good path to go and maybe push for higher fights in the future?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's something I've wanted for a while. I've been calling people out on Twitter. I've been calling people out on YouTube videos, to be honest, for a while. Obviously, in the Call of Duty scene, not many people are up for the task. And obviously, then there's the issue of me having a little bit more experience than most in this scene. So it's going to be hard to actually match me. But I think the future for me is probably going to be pushing onto the larger shows. I would love to get on a Misfits show or a Kingpin tournament or something like that. But let's see what the future holds.
Is there anybody you've got your eye on?
Yeah, there's a couple, to be honest. Obviously, I've been calling out Faye Santana recently. He actually replied on one of my tweets saying that he'd be down for it, but he's added some limitations within his reply stating it needs to be in the States. So, I mean, it's not up to him where it is, but obviously it's up to him if he fights, whether it's outside of the States or not. So I feel like that'll fall apart anyway. The guy seems a little bit scared and timid, so I'm not sure about that. But I genuinely think a great fight would be Tempo Arts. The guy's really good. He can bang. He's a big kid. And I think that it would be an absolute scrap and war.
So, as a gamer, I did a bit of research on you. How hard is it as a gamer to balance kind of hard training and gaming together? Like, how is that done?
Well, it was a bit weird at first. Obviously, I train all the time anyway. Like, even though I haven't had a fight for like over 10 years, I still train 3 times a week in a boxing gym. I'm sparring every day pretty much. I'm in the gym. So like all I had to do was turn it up a little bit. So I went from training once a day on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday to training twice a day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday. So all I had to do was pretty much like get my workload in between all of that. So I just worked around my training. I put that as priority and then work second. So it was difficult to start with, obviously balancing it all, but we got there in the end. So I would say that it's something that's doable.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but you have 3 channels. So which direction do you plan to take those in the future? Because obviously content creation is a big part of this whole thing. So do you have any plans to take certain channels further?
Obviously, I've got the BadBoy Beaman channel. That's always going to continue on the same path. With, I don't know whether you've seen it, I expose cheaters in Call of Duty, so I'll always continue to do that. I enjoy the thrill of it. I enjoy actually seeing the reaction of people when they've been caught. So that's something that will stand. I've got other channels as well. I've got one that it's called Property Mavericks, right, which is about properties and stuff. But I mean, that could go in any direction at the moment. That's got like 22,000 subscribers. We've got the Bad Boy Boxing channel, which is, it started off as a shorts channel. I've turned it into a boxing channel, and it's actually doing really well. So a lot of my boxing content will be on there. I'll mention things within my main channel videos, but yeah, if I ever do decide to try a different path, it'll be a different channel because of how YouTube's algorithm works.
Okay, well, coming in as probably the biggest creator that SCB have ever had, do you have any advice? Obviously, being a headline act, everybody saw your fight who tuned into SCB. Do you have any advice for maybe creators that are looking to come through in the small creator scene as to how they can best promote their fights, finding their feet in the content scene? Like, what was the best thing you'd be able to tell these guys coming through now?
Okay, so I will get into this quite deep actually. I've seen a lot on Twitter. People are like, I want to fight him, but they've got like 10 followers and they don't have a YouTube channel or an Instagram account or any sort of social media platform, right? And then when they are told by the likes of Cowboy Stu or Rich to go and create content, and then maybe we'll think about it in the future, these guys will go and post a video of them punching a bag. Like, you've got to have a different content space. So you need to be a creator in your own right, doing something that you love or enjoy that's not related to just trying to get on that show, because it's like one dimensional. If you are trying to just post videos to specifically get on the show, you need to create content outside of the boxing realm and then use that platform to then use your basically reach and views and numbers to then be offered an opportunity to get on the likes of SCB. So I would say find something you enjoy and love, create content about that. Don't look at it for like, oh, I'm doing it specifically so I can get on this show. And don't look at it like I'm doing it specifically for money. Just do it because you enjoy it, and the numbers will start rolling in. You will start seeing more followers, more comments, and then eventually you'll get an invite onto an SCB show or bigger shows.
That's perfect. Well, Bad Boy, thank you so much for that advice and your time. That wraps up this interview. I said I'd keep it short and sweet. So thank you so much. I wish you all the best in the future. It was a pleasure to watch you fight. And I know the small creator scene was absolutely buzzing to have you on.
Thank you. Good chatting with you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.